Okay, so today's the day. Ta-da! I'm in the process of pulling that OEM Subaru KYB strut, shock, coilover, whatever you want to call it. And I was thinking, well, shit, I'm gonna have to try and match that up with this to know which one's left, which one's right. A lot of shocks don't come with instructions. If they do, it's on their website. It's vague. Don't want to be touching my phone, let alone computer, with my greasy hands. So I got to thinking, I was like, man, I know it had these serial numbers down here, but those serial numbers kind of match across the board. FS, I was like, well, maybe that's front strut. I know these are the fronts because the fronts are shorter than the rear, okay? But how do I tell the left side, boop, from the right side? This side from that side, right? So I got to look at the strut. Oh, Field does this cool thing where it's got a model or serial number, something like that. See that FL? Front left. I know this because the other front shock says FR, so that's a front right. And these top hats have to be a certain orientation in order to, so your camber, caster, whatever is effectively in the right position, and it's going into the car and out of the car instead of front to back, because that wouldn't do anybody any good. So yeah, just a little cool heads up with the Field suspension. And the rears are marked that way too. I knew the front came with camber plates, and I just assumed the backs didn't because they didn't say they did. And there wasn't like other coilover companies where they were like, oh, an extra $150, give you camber plates for the rear, right? Nope, Field does it automatically. Your rears get camber plates. No extra charge, or it's already been factored into it. And not every chassis gets rear camber plates, I guess. Just certain ones do and certain ones don't. But the GD chassis, you get front and rear camber plates. So keep that in mind when you go to do these. Just leave your trunk completely stripped after install. Leave your seats out and everything, so when you take it to the alignment guy, he can just get at her, and you don't have to worry about him destroying your interior or nothing, because nobody loves your car as much as you do. Nobody's going to treat it as nice as you do. I don't care who it is, what garage, whatever. People are going to get at her with freaking air guns and all kinds of stuff. Instead of using torque wrenches, they'll use air guns or electric guns and cordless and whatever. They just, whatever's quick to get you in and out so they can make the money, because a shop charge you by the book, and the book says that it takes 3 hours to do this job, and it's $120 an hour, so it's going to cost you $360 to do this job just in labor, right? Even though it's like a 30-minute job, if they can do it in 30 minutes, that is. But if it takes them 3 hours, then they get, because Subaru said it's a 3-hour job, so they can only charge for 3 hours. But if it takes them 10 hours, you still only have to pay for 3. So there's pros and cons to that. When I worked in the automotive industry as a Toyota Lexus Scion ASC certified master tech, that's the way we did it. And there were cars that came in, especially recalls, dude. You just slay the book on recalls. because usually they'd give you stupid amount of time, like 5 hours to do a 15-minute job, and then you'd whip out like 15 cars in a day and you'd make some good money. But other times there's days where, like, Ford has an Explorer that has these stupid spark plugs that I don't know anybody who could get them out in less than like 15 hours, because they snap off in the head and then you have to remove the heads and then you have to drill them out and all kinds of craziness. So I happened to get that vehicle my first time in, and somebody told me, like, hey, be careful with those spark plugs, they usually get stuck in there. And I'd never run across this issue before, so I was like, fuck it, hit it with some PB blaster while it was still hot from the customer, let it sit an hour, did some other car, came back to it, and just pulled them right out. And I was like, huh, that wasn't bad. You know, the ones towards the firewall were sucky because it's a V8, and all V8s suck when you get back towards the firewall. So, but other than that, I don't know. So I was able to get it done in like an hour and a half, and it just blew everybody's mind. But there are cars out there. Long story short, I'm rambling. There are cars out there that you don't get a lot of time to get stuff done, and in other ones you get stupid amount of time to do something. Like this alternator, Subaru would probably give you like 2 hours to swap out that alternator that everybody on the internet can do. You know, if you can't get that alternator out in an hour, you probably shouldn't be working on a car. So, I mean, your first time around probably take you an hour, but after that it's like a 15-minute job, you know. But long story short, check them. There's going to be some kind of marking on the top hat or on the coil body. Like I showed you guys the ones that's in here. That's just a serial model and a date when it was made. And then this, where'd it go? That is the model, and I think this is a serial now that I'm looking at it. So anyways, I'm gonna get these on the car, and then I'll post a video of how it looks and everything. I would do a how-to, but there's just so many people on the internet with how-tos on coilovers, and they're all the same. The installation anyways, the coilover aren't the same. There's far superior stuff out there, so I almost went with Faction Fab, and then I just said screw it. Actually got some decent shocks. So yeah, next video will be of this thing sitting a little bit prettier, something a little bit better than that. I mean, it's great when I was going out dirt roads and stuff, so